had a website, but it was almost like a vanity project back then. Now it is like an entrance fee to have a business.
Good. Hey, I wanted to let you know that the Google guarantee, the Google ads, man, I'm getting 12 to 16 calls a week.
My goal is at least do 10 to 15 more years, grow it up, sell it for 40, 50 million, maybe more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Titan Talks. My name is Jonathan Stern. I'm an engineer at Topline Pro, but once a week, I have the honor of sitting down with successful home service entrepreneurs to discuss their journeys to success. Today is December 15th, 2023, and my guest is Jack McLiver of Lake Huron Lawns, a full-service lawn care and snow removal company based in Port Huron, Michigan. Jack McLiver, we're thrilled to have you on Titan Talks today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm glad to be here.
To start, would love to hear about how you got started in landscaping and snow removal. Could you give us an origin story?
Yeah, absolutely. So how far back do you want me to go?
Well, how far back could you go, Jack?
Well, I started, mowing grass probably when I was 12, 13 years old on golf courses. And so I worked on golf courses all through, from about the time I was 12 through college, and then actually graduated college in the middle of the recession, and there really wasn't anything in my field available. So I actually moved home to my parents' house and went to work at the local country club and was there until the end of the season. And that took me to working for the Boy Scouts of America for about a little over a decade. Wow. And in that time that I was in the Boy Scouts, I went to Ohio, and then it brought me to Michigan, and just kind of got tired of working for somebody else. I wanted to find a way to provide better for my family and to be able to have a little bit of freedom to not miss so much with my kids as they grow up. My wife and I have been married for 13 years, and we've got 4 kids, and I get to enjoy time with them and make as much of their schedules as I want. So about 4 years ago in 2020, just about the time of the COVID pandemic, I was working from home, as most everybody was, and I was just kind of bored. And I stumbled upon I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but Brian's Lawn Maintenance on YouTube, and I started watching some of his videos, and it kind of sparked the memories of all the time that I spent on mowers at golf courses. So one day on my way to church with my wife and kids, I looked over to my wife and I was like, what if I started a business? And she's like, tell me more. And so, there was all kinds of time, right? Because all of a sudden everybody was doing their 40-hour work week in about 10 hours because there was no distractions. So we kicked it off, part-time in that COVID era, and started out. And in 2021, I left the Boy Scouts. Wow. In April 2021. So the start of our mowing season is typically around April 15th. So April 14th, 2021 was my last day with the Boy Scouts, and April 15th, I actually drove across the state of Michigan to pick up a walk-behind mower to add to my fleet. So there was no rest. We just were getting started. So from there, we've grown every single year. We now have a full-time employee. This coming spring, my wife is going to start working for us full-time, handling a lot of the business behind the scenes, and then I'm actually working to not be on the mower again this year. So we will hire a second full-time employee, and I'll start in sales and focus on the things that often get left when you're sitting on a mower. I was just talking to somebody at a chamber event last night. I've spent 4 years on a mower, and April, it's really hard to mow because every 5 minutes the phone is ringing, and you're stopping the mower and your full-time employee is looking at you and you're like,
Yep.
do as I say, not as I do, so I'm looking forward to it. We're currently putting a lot in place to be able to maneuver that. And our full-time employee that we have is great. He loves leadership development. So he's gonna be a great fit, to lead a team. He is focused on personal development, which you can't always say of the people that are working for you. So I wouldn't be able to take this step, without having the right people in place. So I definitely got the right people in place.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. Wow, what a way to get started. I want to say first, congratulations on 13 years of a successful marriage, and as well for taking the plunge and starting your own business. I imagine it was a little scary and nerve-wracking in the early days, but you've made it work and built it into a successful thing.
It's still scary and nerve-wracking, all the time.
And I imagine it always will be, or will be for a while, but nevertheless, well done and bravo. Wanted to ask about the part-time thing, because you said in the beginning, during COVID, it was not a full-time. You didn't start with it as full-time. When, I guess, why did you start with it as part-time? And then when did you make the decision to transition to a full-time job?
Yeah. So I'd say we just did part-time, and my full-time employee, his name's Lucas, and he was actually my first part-time employee as well. He's my best friend's son. At that time, he was 14 or 15. He was 14 years old because he turns 15 in May. So he was 14 years old, and he's now going to be 20 years old this April, and he's been with me all this time. He went to a tech school as a mechanic, so I've kind of got that in my back pocket. He does a lot of my work, and he went off for about 6 months, and then decided he wasn't going to be in a garage all the time. So he's been with me full time ever since. And so I would say that part-time journey was really just trying to get everything in line to be able to go full time. You can't just start at zero and then one day walk away from a $60,000 salary and hope that it'll work. So that part-time piece, the first year really was just reinvesting back into the business, right? So we probably mowed 4 or 5 days a week after 3 o'clock, a couple hours every night, so I was doing my best to be successful in my full-time gig and give them 100%, like they were paying me for. And, I thought that was important to make sure I was doing my part there. And so really could only do part-time. So, after a year, after a year of mowing, we bought a plow truck. And so I plowed some snow that first winter in 2020, 2021. And we had a good snow year. And I just, had 5 snow clients because, again, I was still working. So it was just part-time. But it was enough to, make me think, how can I do this full-time? So we put the pressure on and, hit the streets. And put postcards on people's mailboxes. I would say don't do that anymore. I got the postmaster general called and said, "Hey, your postcard's great, but if I see them on the mailbox again, we're going to throw them away." So
sorry, say that again. You went out. If they see it on the mailbox again, they're gonna what?
They're just going to throw them away.
Okay.
And they hate to throw them away. They said, "We'd love to mail them for you, but you can't just be sticking them on the mailbox." But we did that for the last, we did that for the first 4 years, and so we're looking at, some different ways of changing that, grassroots marketing system this coming year, and doing some more some targeted mailers and whatnot. But it's a great way to start. I would say for anybody that is starting a business, make that flyer and go out there and knock on doors. I still think it's an American dream for everybody to, work for themselves, be a business owner. Not everybody is cut out to be a business owner, but I think, the majority, there's still a dream, to have some freedom. And, there's nothing better than just getting out there and, talking to people and being proud of what you got.
Did you always want to be a business owner, Jack? I mean, thinking back to when you were mowing the golf course, 11, 12, 13 years old, did you have any inkling that you were the sort of person that might do this one day? Because the way you talk about it now, it sounds like it's been a dream for, 15, 20, 25 years.
So I would say, growing up, I did have that dream. My family owned a printing business. And so I watched my dad work with my grandpa, it was multi-generational.
Wow.
And so I watched that process, watched my cousins work for them. That was my first job away from the golf course, was working at my, grandpa's print shop. I think at that time it had been my uncle's print shop, but I was 16 years old, delivering print in a big cargo van, rocking loud music, and thought I was, king of the hill. But somewhere along the way, colleges beat into your head, right? And for better or for worse, most of what you learn in college is about being an employee, so definitely came out of college looking for a job, and after about a decade of being that employee, I was like, yeah, there's something better out there than just being an employee.
Yep. You talked a little bit about the physical marketing that enabled you to get the business off the ground in the early days. A lot of people listening to this just starting out. What are a couple other things that you did in the early days just to make it work, just to get the business off the ground? Any tips and tricks you could share?
Yeah, so lawn care, everybody thinks about green. So we went and bought green paper, and we made a little flyer, and we cut it in half. We put 2 flyers on an 8.5 page and cut them in half and rolled them with rubber bands. And we rubber banded that to the mailbox flag, and that was the first thing we did. And, on there, we put on the very bottom, call us today to find out how you can get 2 free mows, and essentially,
2 free mows, Jack.
2 free mows. Yep. So
how many people would you say took you up on that deal? So
that first season, I would say, there were 3 or 4 that really asked about it,
Okay.
And, the way that we did it was, we signed them up for the season, right? We signed them up for the season. And then the 10th after the 10th mow, we did the next 2, the 11th and the 12th free, so
okay.
it wasn't like, hey, you can have 2 free mows, and then they're like, all right, we're moving on.
So long. Yeah.
We made sure they were with us before they got the free mows. And we just tracked it in a CRM. I would say, the other things that we did to make sure it worked from the very beginning. We were never a paper and pencil company. We always utilized technology. And when I got started, that was, really a focus of mine, because in our area, I felt like there was a lot of old fashioned, there still is, lawn mowing companies that are just a truck and a trailer and some guy with a legal pad writing stuff down and collecting cash. And, my wife had an employee that one day goes, yeah, I do lawn care. I do some landscaping with my mom's boyfriend. And she asked, well, what's the company? He's like, oh, I don't know what the company is. He just does it. So get your brand, like have a brand, like be proud of your brand, and have a way to track it that is better than paper and pencil, and make sure that people know who you are.
Any big mistakes that you made, particularly in the early days?
Man, big mistake. we honestly, um, there's always small mistakes. We haven't had any really big mistakes. The small mistakes are thinking you need a piece of equipment and spending, all of your excess on this piece of equipment and finding out you really didn't need it. I would say our biggest mistake, now that I think about it, our biggest mistake is not buying a dump trailer sooner.
Hmm.
We do a lot of fall cleanups, we do a lot of spring cleanups. We're moving a lot of leaves. And this was the first season that we had a dump trailer for that. We've had a debris loader.
How did you do it before?
Yeah. So we've had a debris loader
Okay.
for 2 years. But the first season, I took my utility trailer and put boards on the front half of it. And I was just, solo. I had my part-time helper, but he was still in high school. So, I had a buddy help me weld a bracket to put it on the front of my utility trailer. And I had a mesh tarp that went halfway through the trailer, and my mower was in the back of the trailer, and we just blew it in. It was a complete mess. But you took two trucks to the dump because you had like a pallet on the front of this utility trailer, and you had a tow strap on the pallet, and you hooked the tow strap to the truck and just drove. And hopefully it wasn't a muddy day, because I only had one truck with 4-wheel drive, the other truck was 2-wheel drive, and you're pulling the leaves out and just making a mess and then blowing them all out. So then the next year, we upgraded our enclosed trailer. So we had an extra enclosed trailer. So we cut a hole in the front of the enclosed trailer and blew them into the enclosed trailer last year. Same thing, but now I had 2 4-wheel drive trucks, but you're still taking 2 trucks to the dump. You're having to unhook your equipment trailer to go just follow the leaf trailer to the dump to then pull it out. And it's like a 20-30 minute process at the dump just to get all the leaves out so you can get back to work. Not to mention, the 30-minute drive to the dump. So you're talking like a 2-hour, waste of time. So then this year we got a nice SureTrack 7x14 dump trailer, built it up. Figured it was about 30 yards of leaves that we could get in there, and we were dumping, about once a day, but it was just, either at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. And Lucas would come get the truck, go dump, and meet me at the first cleanup. So it was awesome.
Well, you've certainly upgraded in terms of physical technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the question of software and what you use to stay organized, be more productive. Not a pencil and paper company. What is it that you guys use? Would you be able to like take us through your stack as a landscaping company?
Yeah, so we rely heavily on Yardbook.
Okay.
Yardbook is a awesome software, especially for anybody that's starting out, because they've got a free version. They've also got a paid version, which gives you a couple extra features and cuts down on the credit card fees. So that first year we used Yardbook, and we were still sending out paper invoices. But as I started listening to other podcasts and learning what other people were doing, heard about credit card on file and learned about credit card on file, and Yardbook is a credit card on file system as well. So our credit card processing goes through Yardbook through Stripe. So I think a lot of companies use Stripe. I think you guys use Stripe as well for your processing. But now, when we sign up a new customer, it's credit card on file.
Wow.
I have 3 Mo clients that write checks, but they're people that don't have computers. They're older and they're never going to get a computer. Which reminds me, I still have one invoice I got to send out. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a good memory or reminder. But and early on in that first year, we'd do a month of work, and then send out the invoice, but then it'd be 6 weeks of work that you've done before you get paid. So that first year, so I guess back to your mistakes question. So that first year I had one client that, went 6 weeks without paying. And at the end of that 6 weeks, I was like, hey, I can't mow you anymore. I need paid. And they're like, well, we don't have it, So I essentially did a month and a half worth of work for free for them, So now our credit card on file system, we charge the cards right after we complete the service. Some people, do it monthly. People do it prepay. We just got into the habit of, we finish the mow, we charge the card on file, we send the receipt. It takes 30 seconds, right from the clock out page. And if there's a problem with the payment, we know right then. And typically we do work when people aren't home, but we can shoot an email and let them know and get that resolved before we show up on the property the next week. So this year we don't have any unpaid invoices, which is a huge thing. You can't be doing work for free.
Wow. Turning now to business today, would love to hear how many jobs you have on the schedule at the moment, and then where they came from. How are you sourcing most of your work today?
Yeah, well, today is December 15th.
Sure.
So we're in Michigan, so not a lot of jobs. We actually just finished fall cleanup 2 days ago.
But there is snow removal. That's a big part of the business, right, Jack?
There is snow removal, and unfortunately, we're in a strong El Nino year. So it is December 15th. We've had one round of salt, and there's no snow in the forecast through the end of December. But we've got, about 40 clients that we take care of for snow. About 15 of those are commercial, and the other 25 are residential. So those, most of those residential are mowing clients. The majority of our commercial are mowing clients. So it's kind of snow is just kind of organic for us. As we get into the customers that we really want in the mowing. People that care about their yards, people that maybe irrigate their yards, and fertilize them. Those are the type of clients that we want. Somebody that's going to take care of your yard. It's no good to be mowing weeds every week. We want somebody that's taking care of it. Typically, those are the same people that don't want to snow blow at 4 a.m. before they go to work or get the shovel out. And the same thing goes for those customers on the residential side. Typically, are also the customers that have some tie to business. They can hook you up with, their plant manager if they work in a factory, or they own a business, or they're the CEO or something along those lines. So that's been really nice. So interestingly enough, I've got a buddy that owns a business about 30 minutes away, and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a demolition project for him.
Wow.
On the north side of his warehouse, so he's looking to build some stuff, and he's like, hey, I could have you do this for me. So, during the winter, when we're waiting on snow, there's a lot of maintenance and a lot of firewood cutting, but this year, we're going to produce some revenue through some other stream.
As the calendar turns to the spring and then summer, could you offer a breakdown of where the work's coming from? Is it the website? Is it your Google business profile, word of mouth? Do you do any physical marketing today? What would you say are the main sources of work?
Yeah. So we have had some great luck in retention. Our number one source of work is customer retention. I would say the last 4 years, knock on wood, we've retained 95% or higher of what we've added or what we've had. And we've still been, hitting the pavement every spring, passing out the postcards. We gotta, like I said, the postmaster general kind of told us you can't do that again. So we're looking at like Postcard Mania. They can really dial it down to single family homes that cost X amount of dollars, so on and so forth. So we avoid, sending our postcard to an apartment complex, right? So we're looking into that. We do get a lot from Google. We do get a lot from our website. Come probably starting in February, every couple of days I'll get a request from Topline Pro. Hey, you've got a request. Then April hits, there's a couple a day, so what I'm really excited about, the faster you can get back to people, the more likely you are to gain them as a customer. So what I'm really excited about this year, as I focus more on sales and working on the business as opposed to working in the business, I'm really going to be able to scale that up, because I would say there's, always, some that slip through the cracks, and there's always those that, it takes a couple of days for you to get back to them as far as looking at their yard or measuring for mulch or whatever it is, and somebody else has come along and snatched that up. Well, I'm not going to be slow this year. I'm going to be the fastest one out there. So as I get a request, they'll have a quote or we'll have a conversation, that day, right? So,
would you say the business is in growth mode, Jack? I mean, you've decided to step away from the field more or less and hire an employee. You want to be fast. What would you say your goal is over the next couple of years?
Yeah. So we have this year we doubled from last year.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we're planning to do the same this next year. And then, if our, if we've got the plan, so now we got to work the plan. And if the plan follows through, we will have doubled by this time next year. And we'll be, pushing it all in again to potentially double or triple that next year, so that's our focus right now.
What would you say was behind your decision to get a website? There's some people that, have all sorts of software tools, but don't have a website. They think Facebook, maybe Google's sufficient. What are your thoughts on online presence and how a website plays into that?
Yeah. So we don't go to a restaurant, right, that you've never heard of without getting on their website, right? You don't go across the state and check out, some store that you really want to check out without going on their website. We're a really, heavily test things out or check things out before you go buy world anymore, right? And so it's the same with service organizations. Facebook, you can snoop a little bit on Facebook, but are you really serious about your business if you don't have a website? So our website has an about us. Somebody can pull up my website and see my family on my front porch, and read about me and my family. It's really about, to me, it's really about being a person, being somebody that somebody can relate to, being a company that somebody can find information on. Most people aren't going to call without having done a little research first. And, yeah, Facebook can maybe do some of that, but when somebody searches Lake Huron Lawns, the website pops up, and that is by far better than Facebook.
Well, on that note, are you ready for our rapid fire round?
I suppose.
What would you say is your biggest challenge today?
Biggest challenge, not having enough time in the day during the spring, and we're solving that.
Since starting the business, what's been the biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise probably is the cost of equipment, and it just continues to rise.
You've said a few things about this during the podcast, but just to boil it down, for pros just starting out on their own, starting companies, what advice would you offer to them?
Yeah, I would say, utilize the software that's available, be personable, and get out there and meet people. If you're looking for some customers, 5 to 8 o'clock, get out and knock on doors in the areas that you want to work. Go find the nice subdivisions that you want to mow, or that you want to paint, or that you want to roof, and knock on the door while they're there. It's kind of a lost art to knock on people's doors, but
Yes.
for that reason, you'll stand out.
What's been your proudest moment thus far at the helm of Lake Huron Lawns?
I would say, hiring a full-time employee, and just being able to watch them grow. And it's scary to have employees because their livelihood falls on your back.
Yep.
But to see them be able to grow their lives, and to go and get a loan for something that they want to buy because of the employment that you're offering them. So I think it's awesome. We're a people business that happens to mow lawns, right? So I invest heavily in my employees, and we try to, be personable and solve problems for our customers. But really, watching my employees grow is awesome.
And to close, on a personal level, what is your goal? Why would you say you're doing all this?
Well, I think I already said it, early on, is to spend more time with my family, to be able to have the freedom that being an entrepreneur provides, but you can't just be an entrepreneur and have freedom. Some would say I've got, 100 different bosses, but I don't really look at it like that. I've got 100 different partners that, I try to help them accomplish what they want with their yard. So, I'm just trying to help people get their time back, like I was trying to get back as well.
Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on Titan Talks and sharing your story. It's been an inspiration and really a pleasure to hear about all of the work you've done over the last 3 or 4 years, and wish you nothing but the best going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan. I'm grateful for you guys and excited that I got this opportunity.